Hello, 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 good people. I hope y'all are well out there. Now, we have some additional information about Dave Chappelle's attacker, as well as his online following. Yes, because this man is an aspiring rapper. Yep, Dave Chappelle requested to speak to him while he was still a suspect in police custody. And we have information about that exchange, as well as information about a secret concert that was put on immediately after the Hollywood Bowl incident between Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle. They exchanged jokes like a tag team. And Chris Rock said in front of a live audience that Will Smith is the softest Negro who ever lived. So, this impromptu show did happen in response to the assaults that these men, these comedians, have experienced while performing on stage. And we're also going to get some accounts of what the cameras did not reveal with those tapes during that Hollywood Bowl beatdown, and some public reaction to this crazy trend. We have a few things to unpack here today. So the first thing is that we know that Chappelle's attacker is a wannabe rap star. Now, those are not my words. That's according to the New York Post. And that's exactly how they wrote it. That he is not an aspiring rapper. I would have said he's a wannabe rapper, but hey, that's the way they wrote it. But he is an aspiring rapper that has a verified Spotify profile, this wannabe rapper, with 6,000 monthly listeners. Now, in 2020, this rapper titled a track Dave Chappelle. In 2020, it was also in 2020 that Dave Chappelle had to postpone the performance, like a lot of performers did, due to the lockdowns. Now, this attacker / rapper calls himself No Name Trapper, but his real name is Isaiaha Lee. According to his social media and Spotify accounts, he is the No Name Trapper. And during this performance of his track called Dave Chappelle, he mostly mumbled, but at one point he clearly raps the line, walking straight into the bowl, like that, walking straight into the bowl, like that whole rapper style. People say his raps are very weird, but he did put this track out. Now, Dave Chappelle spoke with his attacker, the No Name Trapper, Isaiaha Lee, and he said the reason why he attacked Chappelle was because he was trying to raise awareness about the gentrification that's taking place and affecting his family in New York City. Dave Chappelle seems to think that his attacker is mentally ill, and I'm like, really, maybe he's some kind of crazy, but the fact that this guy put this recording out 2 years ago about the Hollywood Bowl, it doesn't exactly line up with that theory. It does show, however, that he's very determined. That's in my opinion. You see him here, somebody messed his picture up. They put some like little horns on him. And this is the same shirt or hoodie that he was wearing at the Hollywood Bowl show, where he should have been having a nice time, but he decided to act the fool up in there, act a pure, plum, nutty fool. I would just say that he is a very determined individual and very misguided. 23 years old, this dude is. But he sure did make his way onto that stage with Chappelle, and he sure did pay the price. Now, Dave's security team and some civilians jumped in too, slapping him around and kicking him around. I guess that was mainly the civilians. I'm not sure, but this dude received a royal beatdown. I'll get back to that. But it may turn out that the attacker walks away with little more than a slap on the wrist, because it turns out the weapon that he was carrying remained in his backpack, and Dave Chappelle has sympathy for the guy. So we're just going to have to wait and see what the final judgment will be. But it did not work out well for him. It did not work out well at all. Now, Dave Chappelle's publicist, Carla Sims, said that after 4 nights of record-breaking sales, the comedian is basking in the afterglow of his successful run at the Hollywood Bowl, wouldn't you? It was a magical celebration of 4 nights with comedy and music that reached over 70,000 fans from diverse backgrounds. And Chappelle, diverse backgrounds, I forgot to ask. Chappelle refuses to allow this successful run that he had at the Hollywood Bowl to be overshadowed by this incident, even though this incident makes Dave Chappelle the latest comedian to be attacked on stage as he performs. And this attack, for me, it was no joke. And of course, it grabs our attention because of what went down at the Oscars. But Chappelle's attack makes that slap between Will Smith and Chris Rock look like a walk in the park with an ice cream cone. I am telling you. Now, according to the official police report, and NBC News wrote about it, NBC News Los Angeles, they reported that Chappelle was leveled by this guy as the comedian was wrapping up to bring on the other artists for this festival of music and comedy that's to be part of the Netflix is a Joke festival. And Chappelle's show was entitled Dave Chappelle and Friends. He was going to bring on these additional performers, Talib Kweli and Mos Def, you will see coming up here. And that is when this attacker rushed the stage and he was carrying a weapon. How he got in there with all these heavyweight performers with a weapon into the Hollywood Bowl during these kind of times. Now, to keep the story straight, according to the police report, the weapon was a replica gun. It wasn't a real gun, but that knife was a real knife and it could hurt somebody. Now, you see him over here. It did not work out well for him. He got hemmed up. This is him. He's not a little guy and he's not a bad looking guy. But he made a big mistake that night because in addition to the uniform security, I don't know how many people jumped on this dude, and you will see him being carried out on a stretcher and not looking very well. Now, the initial report said that his injuries were superficial, but they're not taking you to the hospital over no superficial wounds. And we're going to understand why, as these reports come out, why he was taken to the hospital. This dude was in bad shape. There's a very good reason they took him there and not to jail. Now, during Dave Chappelle's show at the Hollywood Bowl, there was a reporter in attendance watching the concert by the name of Brianna Sachs. She is a reporter for BuzzFeed News. And she tweeted about what she saw. Brianna basically tweeted that the dude got the crap beat out of him, kicked, punched, and it went on for a while. She tweets, "The show was just ending when the man hopped on the stage and ran at Chappelle, form tackling him to the ground. The comedian had literally just said how he has more security because of all the uproar from his jokes about the trans community." She goes on, "Security et al. Rushed and started punching and kicking the shit out of Chappelle's attacker." I mean, okay, she says security beat him down. Wow. He was just about to bring on Talib Kweli and Mos Def for the encode, and we in the crowd were like, what the F is going on? Chappelle kept on while the guy was getting beat in the back. So, sheer chaos. Then Jamie Foxx comes out in a cowboy hat looking absolutely shocked, and Chappelle makes a joke about stomping the guy who was still getting beat up. Kweli and Mos Def do their set while LAPD cruisers start arriving behind the stage. Effing wild. That's what she writes. When we got out of the bowl and got our phones, and got our phones out, LAPD and medics were cordoning off the area and then loaded Chapelle's attacker, who looked to be strapped in a jacket in a chair, into an ambulance. Members of the crowd cussed him out. You could imagine he was messing up their show. Next tweet. What is really surreal about this is that Chapelle talked about Chris Rock and the slap/new reality facing comedians having more security with him and his wife being worried about him now. He did a whole bit about a crazy man coming to his house and chasing him down with a chair. While the attacker was getting beat up, Chapelle made a joke about him probably being a trans man. Okay, so yeah, she was getting her reporter hat on there. Yeah, so that was her witness testimony. Now, the concert that Chris Rock and Chapelle organized was in response to these attacks, and the press is calling it a secret concert because it wasn't scheduled. It was an impromptu set at the Comedy Store. The Daily Beast wrote about it, and they said that Chris Rock slammed Will Smith while he and Chapelle traded jokes back and forth. You can see him there calling Will the softest Negro that ever lived. And you know he used the other word. And Chapelle joked that at least Chris Rock's attacker was someone of repute. His attacker was a homeless guy with leaves in his hair. Yeah, they came with the jokes. And some other people commented on this incident, the whole trend that's going on. Saying that as a nation, we have to do a better job trying to help homeless people and people with mental health conditions. This is true. Do we need a nationwide database to keep tabs on violent mental health patients if they move from city to city or state to state? Is anyone aware of their violent histories, tendencies? You can see more. Someone writes, laughing out loud, this nation isn't going to help out anyone. We have tens of thousands of homeless people in every Democrat city, and what's the answer? Let's let in millions of illegals that should help. I mean, it goes on. You guys can check that out if you want, or maybe I'll read it in another video, some of these comments. I mean, you don't want to sit up and hear me read the whole time, but I do thank you for joining me. I'll keep you informed, and please do like, share, and subscribe, because that's the only way for me to get things done here on YouTube. I appreciate you so much for joining me. I hope to see you again. Thank you so much. Peace.